Hello students. So in the last session we started with this new chapter number 6, biomolecules. So by far we have studied what are biomolecules. Okay, so we have studied that they are essential organic molecules and they are involved in the maintenance and the metabolic process in every living organisms. And these non-living molecules, they are present inside the cells. Okay, and then we studied that they are being divided, or they are being classified as small molecules such as the primary and the secondary metabolites and the hormones, and there are large macromolecules like proteins, nucleic acid, carbohydrates and lipids. Now out of these macromolecules like proteins, nucleic acid, carbohydrates and lipids, previously in the last session we studied about carbohydrates, where we studied that carbohydrates, they are being classified again into three types: monosaccharides, disaccharides and polysaccharides. Monosaccharides, they are simplest sugar and they cannot be further hydrolyzed because they are the smallest molecule. Okay, so they cannot be further hydrolyzed is what we studied, and they are the building blocks or the monomers of complex carbohydrate. That means the complex carbohydrates over here are disaccharides and the polysaccharides. Now disaccharides and the polysaccharides are made up of monosaccharides. Okay, so that is how we can say that monosaccharides, they are the building blocks or the monomers of complex carbohydrates. Then the examples that we studied over here was glucose, galactose and fructose. Glucose, this is the most important, okay, for all the living cells because they are the ones that liberate energy. They are the most important fuel of every living cell. The glucose concentration in human blood, it is about 90 mg per 100 ml of blood. Okay, so it is very important in every living cell. Then comes galactose. Now galactose, this can exist in alpha and beta form, and galactose, when it reacts with glucose, it forms a disaccharide, that is lactose. Fructose as well, it is a fruit sugar, and when fructose reacts with glucose, it forms sucrose, which again is a disaccharide. Okay, so glucose, galactose and fructose, they are the simple sugars and so they are considered to be monosaccharides. Then we studied about disaccharides, where we studied that disaccharides are made up of two monosaccharides. Okay, and here the examples are sucrose, lactose and maltose. Now if you remember in the previous slide, we studied that when glucose reacts with galactose, it forms lactose, which is a disaccharide, and when glucose reacts with fructose, it forms a sucrose, which is again a disaccharide. Okay, now disaccharides, they are large molecules, though they are soluble in water, but they are large molecules. Okay, so because they are large molecules, they are so large that they cannot enter the cell membrane, and because they cannot enter the cell membrane, at the time of digestion, what happens is these disaccharides are broken down into monosaccharides. Okay, and then the monosaccharides enters the cell membranes and then pass through the bloodstream. Okay, so the disaccharides are broken down into monosaccharides into the small intestine during the time of digestion. Okay, so this was about disaccharides that we studied. Then the third one is polysaccharides, where the examples that we studied were starch, glycogen and cellulose. Now starch, we studied that they are found in two forms, amylose and amylopectin, where amylose is the single chain and amylopectin is the branched one. Okay, so polysaccharides, here what happens is the monosaccharide, they undergo a series of condensation reaction, and in this condensation reaction, what happens is there is adding up of one unit of the monosaccharide after the other till a large chain is formed. Okay, so there is a chain of large molecule which is known as polysaccharide, and this whole process of formation of this large chain is called as polymerization. So that is how polysaccharides are formed. And so we complete the three types of carbohydrate: monosaccharides, disaccharides and polysaccharides. Now we also had to study the biological significance of carbohydrate, which was left in the previous session. So we'll first study this and then we'll move on to the next biochemical. So studying the biological significance of carbohydrate, the first that we study is the storage role. Okay, so carbohydrate, it, as I said, that it serves as a storage of metabolic fuel for every living organism. When we studied about glucose, we said that the concentration of glucose is about 90 milligrams per 100 ml of blood. Okay, so that is how we come to know that glucose, which is a carbohydrate, is it is a metabolic fuel. It is very important for any living organism to liberate energy. Okay, so here the example that is given is starch and glycogen. Now starch, it is present as a storage form in plants, and glycogen, it is present as a storage form in animals. Okay, what happens is whenever there is a requirement of energy, whenever there is any requirement of energy in the plant body or the animal body, this starch and the glycogen, they are broken down into glucose, which serves to provide energy. Okay, did you get this? How does it act in a storage role? What happens is starch and glycogen, these are two types of the polysaccharides that we studied. What happens is the starch is present as a storage form in plants and glycogen is present as a storage form in animals. And whenever there is a requirement for energy in plant body or animal body, this storage form, that is starch and glycogen, they are broken down into glucose, and then that serves to provide energy to the plant body or the animal body. Okay, the next biological significance is the structural role of carbohydrate. Now carbohydrate, when we studied the previous chapter, we studied that the cell wall of plants, they are made up of cellulose, hemicellulose and lignin. Okay, so carbohydrates like cellulose, hemicellulose and lignin, they provide mechanical and protective function to the cell wall of the plant. They are very tough, they are tougher than the cell membrane. Okay, and this toughness is protective in function. So it is protective in function, it provides a mechanical strength. Okay, it also provides a definite shape to the plant cell. Now chitin form the part of the exoskeleton in insects and crustaceans. So again, when we studied about kingdom Animalia, we studied about endoskeleton and exoskeleton. Exoskeleton is a hard covering, a skeletal structure on the outer part of the body. Okay, the examples over there that we took were of the scorpion, or you can say the prawns, or you can say the millipede that we took an example of. Okay, these were the examples, some of the examples that we took for exoskeleton. Okay, so the exoskeleton in insects and some of the crustaceans, they are formed of chitin material, and this is again nothing but made up of carbohydrate. Then communication role. Carbohydrates, they are covalently bound to either proteins or lipids to form glycoprotein or glycolipid. If it is covalently bound to lipids, it will be glycolipids. If it is covalently bound to proteins, it is glycoprotein. Now, glycoproteins, they act as hormone. The examples are thyroid stimulating hormone and erythropoietin. These are the two hormones. It acts as enzyme, that is phosphatase, lipase, pepsinogen, etc. It also acts as the integral membrane protein, mucin and cadherin, which is a major adhesion molecule. Okay, so cadherin, it is a calcium dependent adhesion, and it is required in the formation of adherent junctions to bind cells with one another. So one cell with other cell, it is bound together by this adhesion, that is cadherin. So it is cadherin, it is a major adhesion molecule for the binding or adherence of the two cells together. Then the second one is glycolipids. Glycolipids, they act as enzymes, they act as immunoglobulins, they act as secretory protein and also the membrane protein. So students, this was about the biological significance of carbohydrate, and with this we finished the first biomolecule or the first macromolecule, that is carbohydrate. Coming to the second one, which is lipids. So lipids, these are group substances with greasy consistency of long hydrocarbon chain containing carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, and in lipids what happens is the hydrogen and the oxygen ratio is greater than 2:1. So if you remember in carbohydrates, when we studied about carbohydrates, we said that the ratio of hydrogen and oxygen is always same in carbohydrates, that is 2:1. But over here in lipids what happens is the hydrogen and the oxygen ratio is greater to 2:1. Now lipids, in a broader term, they are used for fatty acids and their derivatives. And fatty acids, they are the organic acids which are composed of hydrocarbon chain ending in carboxyl group. And these fatty acids, they are the basic molecules which form different kinds of lipids. Okay, so the lipids, they may be classified as simple and the derived one, the simple, compound and the derived one. Okay, now let us first study about the fatty acids, where we can study the first one, that is saturated fatty acid. So saturated fatty acid, that is this, you can have a look at this structure. This is with no double bond, you can see no double bond between the carbon atoms. So there is no double bond between the carbon atoms. And the palmitic and the stearic acids, they are found in animals and plant fats, and they are the examples of saturated fatty acids where there is no double bond found between the carbon atoms of the hydrocarbon chain. Whereas if we see unsaturated fatty acid, there is one or more double bond between the carbon atoms of this hydrocarbon chain. And the examples for this is oleic acid, which is found in nearly all fats, and linoleic acid, which is found in many seed oils. These are the two examples of unsaturated fatty acids. So remember, saturated fatty acid, what happens is there is no double bond between the carbons of the hydrocarbon chain. And in unsaturated fatty acids, there is this double bond, one or two double bond, or they can be more, between the carbon atoms of this hydrocarbon chain. Now let us classify the lipids and let us study the simple lipids, the compound and the derived lipids. The first one is the simple lipid. Now simple lipids, they are the esters of fatty acids with various alcohol, and the examples that you can take over here is of fats and waxes. Okay, so the fats and the waxes are the simple examples of simple lipids. Now fats, they are esters of fatty acids with glycerol, and unsaturated fatty acids are hydrogenated to produce these fats. So the example for this is vanaspati ghee. You must be very familiar of vanaspati ghee, and vanaspati ghee, they are they are made. How are they made? The unsaturated fatty acids, they are hydrogenated to produce this fat. Okay, so fats, they are nutritional source with high calorific value, and they act as reserve food material. Now in plants, it is stored in seeds, and when we say it is stored in seeds, they are actually used up by the plants to nourish the embryo during the time of germination. Whereas in animals, these fats, they are stored in the adipocytes of the adipose tissue. Okay, so if you see over here in this picture, this is the adipocyte cells. Okay, in these adipocyte cells, the fats are stored. Now, fats, when they are around the internal organs in animals, they protect the internal organs or the internal tissues from the mechanical shock or the outer injury, you can say. Okay, so these fats they act as a protective layer to protect the animal from the mechanical shock from the outer side. So if you see over here, this is the blood vessel present, and around the blood vessel there is a lot of adipocyte cells, and all these adipocyte cells are with fats. So what are fats doing over here? They are acting as a protective layer so that they can protect the blood vessel from any mechanical shock from the outer side. Coming to the wax, wax are esters of long chain fatty acids with long chain alcohol, and these are found in blood. They are found in gonads and sebaceous glands of the skin. Okay, waxes, they are not as readily hydrolyzed as fats, and they are solid at ordinary temperature. For example, wax in beehive. Okay, so this is the beehive wax or the bee wax, which is produced in the beehive with the through the bees. And waxes, they are insoluble coating. They form water insoluble coating on hair, on skin of animals, and the waxes, they form an outer coating on the stem, leaves, and the fruits. Okay, so here I can give you an example of lotus. The lotus leaf is a very common example which has a waxy coating on it. Why is that waxy coating? So waxy coating, it actually prevents the lotus leaf or the lotus plant from rotting. As this lotus plant, it grows in water. It is a hydrophytic plant. So when it is always in water, if there is no waxy coating, there are a lot of chance of the plant to rot. Okay, so to protect the plant from water, the plant is having a waxy coating on the leaves. Okay, so this was about the simple lipids. The next one is the compound lipid. Compound lipid, they are esters of fatty acid containing other groups like phosphate, that is phospholipid, and if it is sugar, it is glycolipids. Okay, they contain a molecule of glycerol, 2 molecules of fatty acid, and a phosphate group or simple sugar. Now phospholipid, this phospholipid is what we have studied in the previous chapter. So again, if you remember the fluid mosaic model of the cell membrane that we studied in the previous chapter, we studied that the cell membrane, it is made up of bilayers of lipid, that is the phospholipid. And this phospholipid, it has hydrophilic polar group and it has a hydrophobic non-polar group. So the hydrophilic polar group is the one that comes in contact with water. So the head region that you can see on the outer side, the red color region, these are one of the layer of this phospholipid, and they are hydrophilic polar groups. Okay, and the tail region that is sandwiched between the two bilayers, this is hydrophobic polar region that does not come in contact with water. Okay, as the name says, hydrophobic, that means they resist water, they do not come in contact with water. So phospholipid is one example of compound lipid. Now phospholipid, they contribute, as I said, in the formation of cell membrane. Coming to glycolipid, they contain glycerol, fatty acid, and simple sugar such as galactose. And they are also called as cerebrosides. Why are they called as cerebrosides? Because a large amount of these glycolipids, they have been found in the brain white matter and the myelin sheath. Okay, so that is how they are also being called as cerebrosides. The third one, that is sterol, and sterol, it is a derived lipid. Okay, they are composed of fused hydrocarbon rings, that is steroid nucleus, and a long hydrocarbon side chain. Now, one of the most common sterol is cholesterol, and it is widely distributed in all the cells of animal body, particularly in the nervous system. Okay, cholesterol, they exist either in a free form or as cholesterol esters. Now, adrenocorticoid, the sex hormone, that is progesterone and testosterone, and vitamin D, these three things are synthesized from cholesterol. Now, cholesterol, they are not found in plants. In plants, sterol, they exist in chiefly as phytosterol. So here the example is of yam plant. This is yam plant, and they produce steroid compound which is called as diosgenin. Okay, so sterol, it is a derived lipid. So students, we end this session over here. So by far we have studied everything about carbohydrates, and then we have studied everything about lipids. In the next session, we will be taking up the next biomolecule, that is proteins.